Hi everyone and welcome to your summer homework. So as you may have heard through the grapevine and from your subject teachers, the summer homework is on an entirely new topic to you lot. So the new topic area is psychopathology, otherwise known as mental illness. So the topic itself is rather a large one, whereby we look at several different disorders, kind of the causes from them and their treatments. But prior to getting to that point, there is a whole section which we're going to do together as part of the summer homework, which is a brief introduction to the individual disorders and their symptoms. So this is section number 1, where I'm going to kind of guide you through kind of what you would see in an individual who has, for example, got a phobia or somebody who is depressed. So that's the whole first section, looking in a lot of detail at kind of what characterises those individual mental illnesses. So depression, OCD, and phobic disorders. And then the second part of this video, which is the biggest part of this video, or the lesson rather, the videos are... There are 4 different videos for you to work through in total, but this just makes kind of one big lesson, and this is all of your summer homework, so it's all got to be completed. But the second section, or the second chunk to this summer homework, is defining abnormality. So in total, you're going to work your way through 4 different definitions of abnormality. So as I said, there are 4 different videos, and there's also a Prezi, which you will see the link to on the website. Obviously, you've been directed through the website to get to this video anyway. Everything's really structured. Everything's kind of in the order that you must go through it. So, like I said, the main purpose of the summer homework is to introduce you to those different disorders and allow you to kind of get a feel for the characteristics and the specific symptoms, and then the main bulk is going to be these definitions of abnormality. Now, as I just made reference to, there are several different videos here. Now, what I would just recommend that you do is take your time with this task. It is rather a large one. I wouldn't recommend that you do it all in one go, because if you do it all in one go, it's likely that you're going to kind of lose focus, you're going to lose a little bit of concentration, and we don't want really that to happen, because you need to know each of these definitions in as much detail as the next one. They're all as valuable to your knowledge as each other, and they're all as likely to come up on an exam. So what I would probably recommend is that you do the introduction to the symptoms first and foremost, and maybe some exam questions that go with it, and then take the definitions maybe 1 or 2 at a time. You will see that as I go through these individual videos, there are tasks built in. So there are exam questions that we're going to cover with you. You should also have a pack of miniature essays, so 8-mark essay plans, and a big A3 sheet. So it's about consolidating your learning as you are going through each of these little sections of the lesson or of the homework, and not trying to blast it all at once. Now, one thing that is very, very important, and you probably need to write this somewhere onto your booklet initially before we get going, is that there is a little bit of an error in a couple of these videos, because I made the bulk of these videos last year when we were teaching to an AS specification. You might occasionally hear me make reference to a 12-mark essay. Now, obviously, you no longer do 12-mark essays. You are completing the A-level programme. So you won't be answering a 12-mark essay. What you are likely to do on this area is a 16-mark essay. Now, that 16-mark essay could be on one of the definitions of abnormality, but it is unlikely. For 16 marks, you're probably going to be asked to discuss 2 or more definitions of abnormality, or you might get asked to discuss 1 definition of abnormality and apply it to a stimulus. But in any case, any reference to 12-mark questions, it's not an oversight on my part, but it is kind of due to the fact that we'd recorded all the videos last year when we were still writing 12-mark essays. So I think I've eliminated most of them, but if you see reference to 12 marks, please ignore it. It's should be 16 marks, but the way that you answer the questions is exactly the same. As I've said here on the screen, it doesn't change the content at all. It is literally the number of marks. So that's just kind of one thing that you need to be aware of before we get going. Now, the other thing that you need to kind of bear in mind is you might get a bit kind of tired and you might get a bit drained working your way through this homework. But the final video is probably the most important one. All of the videos are important because they give you content, but that final one there is actually exam skills. So it teaches you how to prepare for a 16-mark essay. Now, I don't know whether all teachers will have passed this message on. I know I've told my classes, but I'm not entirely sure kind of whether or not this has been clarified with everyone, that you will have a 16-mark potluck essay in the first week back after you return to us in the summer. So it is very much important that you have watched that final video clip. You understand how to plan that one of those 16 markers, you understand how to do it, because none of this content, and I need to really emphasize that to you, none of this will be taught in class, okay? So this will all just be assessed without any refresher, without any kind of teacher input. So it is really important that you watch that final video. Now, the other thing that I'm just going to mention to you as well, before we get stuck into the symptoms, is that this area of psychology tends to be very, very interesting for a lot of students. I mean, I personally find it one of the most interesting areas. However, kind of like the restrictions put on our course mean that we can't really do it justice. We can't teach it in as much detail as what we would like to in some cases. So because I'm very much aware of that, and because I'm very much giving you a very superficial amount of information, just enough for you to kind of get through your exam, what I have done is I've made sure that there are additional bits of information available to you on the Moodle page. So there are additional articles, there are some extra video clips. So what is contained in my videos in these lessons is everything that you need in order to pass your A-level. However, if you are more interested and if you do want to find out more about psychopathology, which I have no doubt some of you will want to, please don't be afraid to access those additional resources that we have added to the Moodle screen. They're there for you to use, but you don't necessarily need to include them in any of your answers. These videos are enough for you to access good solid marks on the A-level paper.